Welcome in to the Armchair Illini podcast. This is a mini episode just reacting to some news here with my good friend Robbie Nardini. We are going to be talking about the Kylan Boswell news. Very unfortunate. It kind of ruined my day yesterday, and it still has ruined me today. But Kylan Boswell, senior guard, one of the best players, if not one of the most important players on this Illinois basketball team, will be out for at least a month with a fractured right shooting hand. Big blow to the Illini. Brad Underwood did announce it in his media appearance yesterday. This was suffered in practice. Apparently, he was swiping for a loose ball and fractured his shooting hand. Underwood expects Boswell to be out for at least a month, and he said maybe mid-February. But just really unfortunate timing, and you'll hear all of our thoughts in just a sec. But do want to shout out our sponsor, Hamilton Walkers. We have a giveaway that is live right now for the Maryland game, $50 gift card. Make sure you enter that. And make sure you subscribe to all of our social media pages and to our YouTube page. We just hit over 600 subs, so really appreciative of all you guys listening. Robbie, when you heard this news about Kylan Boswell being out for a month, what were your initial thoughts?
Pain.
Yeah.
You put it the right way. Kind of ruined my day. Definitely pain, sadness, anger was my thoughts at this. What just from a surprise. I know Underwood said during his media availability yesterday that he kind of just dropped this news, and obviously it happened in practice. So just kind of out of nowhere, definitely ruined my day, and I'm still pissed about it. I know we got a game tonight we got to focus on, but it's definitely some tough news for the Illini.
Yeah, it was one of those things that just I won't say it was as bad as the Terrence Shannon news because that was obviously a national story, but it was similar to that because we've won 7 in a row, obviously against lesser teams, but we're starting to click. You're really starting to see this team really gel. All their roles are settling into place. We're the top offensive team in Ken Palm as of this morning. And you got some big time matchups coming up just to see where this team is at. You know this team's good. You know this team's going to be a top 4 seed in terms of the NCAA tournament. But then you have these matchups where you can really see where you're at and get a good barometer. And now that kind of just goes by the wayside. And on top of that, for a month, shooting hand, there's going to be some lingering effects. I think 4 weeks is kind of an accelerated rehab process. Obviously, you saw Mraz Johnson last year with a broken left wrist. This was non-shooting. He missed about a month exactly and came back for the March stretch and looked okay. But again, this is a guard with your shooting hand, dribbling hand. You can just This is just a huge blow. And we'll talk about who we expect to step up. But where do the Illini go from here? They got obviously a nice tune-up game before they head to Mackey Arena on Saturday. They play Maryland tonight. But where do they go from here, Robbie?
Yeah, and I think in terms of Mraz, who was 4 weeks, like you said, non-shooting wrist, he was pretty much dunking and not shooting the ball or dribbling the ball much. So I think it's a little bit different for Kylan being a guard, dribbling, shooting all the time, especially on his dominant hand. So I think, 4 weeks I feel like is pretty quick. I'm obviously not a doctor, but I think hopefully before the Michigan game he could come back. What is it, January 21st right now. So we're looking
Mm.
at Michigan February 27th. I think that's about 5 weeks. So I'm hoping he'll be back then. And it's kind of just tough timing. It would have been better if it was January 1st he did this, or, after the Mizzou game, you play a bunch of teams that you're better than, and you show them that you can beat no matter what. I think we still beat Maryland without Kylan, no problem. So the timing sucks, but it is a little bit similar to TSJ. There is national media, on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, tweeting about it, saying it's a huge blow. All these national analysts saying that. Obviously, not to the extent of Terrence. I think I was tearing up borderline when Terrence news came out. I remember I was
Me
in
too.
Utah on a ski trip, and I was just devastated and didn't want to talk to anyone for a while.
Yeah.
I definitely thought he was going to be out for the rest of the season and ruin the season. But I guess in terms of Kylan, he's not going to be out for the season, which is good. He's going to be back for March Madness. He'll be back for the conference tournament for sure. I think at the latest. So I think we just got to weather the storm. Other guys got to step up, especially defensively. Kylan is our anchor on the defensive side, and we really just got to weather the storm. I know at Purdue will be tough, at Nebraska, at Michigan State. But other than that, I think you can still compete and win most of the games otherwise. And if you sneak out 1 out of 3 in those big time quad 1A matchups, like I mentioned, that's definitely some gravy there.
Yeah, I think you're right. We just gotta weather the storm. I think with TSJ, we went, I believe, 3-2 or 4-2, something like that. And it actually kind of worked out in terms of having guys like Marcus Damask really step up, and really figure out his offensive role there. It just is really annoying because again, we talk so much about role definition, we talk so much about team chemistry, and yet again, this team is facing a hurdle to that. You know, you start to settle in, you see Keaton Wagler on the ball. You see Kylan being that defensive glue, so to speak. And now all of that kind of gets shifted around yet again, and this team has to adjust. I wanted to hear your thoughts, but my initial thoughts when this first happened is okay, we have to move on. A lot of people look towards Mihailo Petrovic as the guy, but I wrote in an article yesterday, and I really stand by this. I think this shifts towards Andrei Stojakovic. Andrei Stojakovic is arguably the only other strict two-way player on this roster. He has shown that he can play lockdown defense. It hasn't been consistent, and he's shown that he can play off the ball and be that kind of secondary scorer alongside Keaton Wagler. So I think a lot of the responsibility shifts towards Andrei Stojakovic. We can't have any more of those 22 minutes a night, 7 points, and kind of coming off the bench and not really doing too much. So I think a lot of it shifts to Andrei Stojakovic. Mihailo Petrovic, he is what he is. He needs the ball in his hands. I don't think Illinois is going to change that. Keaton Wagler is still going to handle the ball for the 30 plus minutes that he plays. Mihailo Petrovic is going to play more, but I don't think that Illinois is going to completely shift what they do and throw Mihailo Petrovic into the starting lineup, and have basically a non shooter stand next to Keaton Wagler as Keaton Wagler kind of runs the offense. So a lot of responsibility, in my opinion, shifts towards Andrei Stojakovic. Brandon Lee also, he's not going to play 20 minutes a night, but I think Brandon Lee was serving as Kylan Boswell's backup. You obviously saw that too, in certain stretches in Big Ten play where Brandon Lee was coming off the bench instead of Mihailo Petrovic. So Andrei Stojakovic and Brandon Lee are going to get a lot of shine. In terms of the starting lineup, I think you can throw either Jake Davis or Ben Humberkaus, pick your poison, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think Andre is definitely going to need to make his money moving forward when Kylan's out. Like you said, can't really have a 7 point performance out of Andre anymore. And that's not even really a bad thing on him. When we were clicking, we were winning games. He was playing within the offense, defending at a high level. So, nothing against him there, but we really need him to make shots, be effective on offense. And I would expect us to run a little bit more offense through Andre as well, kind of get him going. And I think everyone on the bench is just going to need to play a bigger role, play a little bit better. Milo is going to play a little bit more. Lee's going to play more. We need Davis and Humrickhouse to hit shots. I feel like Kylan was that guy when we really needed a bucket. He would put his head down, get to the rim, get fouled, and especially on the defensive end too, you really need to stop. He's one of those guys that can, be a leader and tell everyone to lock in defensively. We need stops and everything. So leadership, people are going to need to, lock in there too. And I think this is an opportunity for Tommy to start playing better. He wasn't featured too much in the offense with Kylan and Wagler and Andre, but with a high scorer like Kylan not in the lineup anymore, I think it is an opportunity for Tommy to be a leader and play, better offensively on those pick and pops.
Yeah, offensively, I think there's going to be some very minor changes, and like you said, a lot of shift is going to go towards Stojakovic. They're probably going to try to get him involved earlier in the games. You kind of saw that versus Iowa, and even in the last game against Minnesota, I think Stojakovic takes a lot of the first few shots with the drives to the basket just so he can get going, and I think him getting going early really sets the tone for him. Otherwise, he just kind of falls disinterested. In the game versus Minnesota, he kind of had some defensive lapses, and Brad Underwood lit into him. But speaking of that, I do want to go to the defensive side of the ball. Kylan Boswell, it's hard to replace. He guards the team's best player, whether that's Bennett Sturts, Nick Martinelli, or Cade Tyson. He guards all of those. He can guard wings, and he's just kind of that guy that gets you a stop, like you were saying. The defensive energy, all the emotion that he pours into it, it's all Kylan Boswell. Obviously, this team is going to take a hit, but I was talking to you back and forth the other day when this news went down. I said I think they might go zone a little bit more because you cannot get Keaton Wagler into foul trouble. It just cannot happen. Otherwise, this team is absolutely in a lot of trouble if Keaton Wagler gets into a lot of trouble. So I think they're going to try to hide him a little bit, especially with Boswell being out. And I think Zvonimir Visic, his role becomes huge as an eraser because he's going to have to erase a lot more mistakes coming off of those perimeter drives. So we'll see what happens in terms of the defensive side. I think they're going to take a hit, obviously, but I think zone and a lot more Zvonimir Visic is probably going to be your answer because you need a guy that can erase a lot of defensive mistakes at this point.
Yeah, is definitely a concern with Kylan out. I think we're 21 in adjusted defensive efficiency at KenPom right now, and we were 40 after the Nebraska game. So, if we could stay around the 30s, I think without Boswell, that would be just fine. I think with him back, we'll get back to that, low 20s once he's back. And like you said, Z's going to have a bigger role. I wouldn't mind seeing two big lineup as well, just to show a little bit more length. We were talking about playing zone in the Discord as well. I think we'll see that a little bit more too. The only thing I'm worried about, I think Andre's a good defender. I think just with Braden Smith coming up, I don't think Andre can guard him very well. I think Braden's just a little bit too quick and he's a little guard, and Kylan's good at guarding those type of players as well as wings. I think I'm not too worried about a team like Nebraska. I know Hoiberg's really good, but I think Andre can guard Samford and bigger wings and be just fine. But he's really going to have to take pride in both sides of the ball. He's going to have to be our best defender. He's going to have to score more. So, like I said, he's going to be making his money. We paid him a lot to come to the team, and it's time for him to shine, and he's a great player. So hopefully no issues there.
Yeah, so looking at the schedule, obviously we play Maryland tonight. We got Purdue on Saturday, and then we play Washington at home, Nebraska at Lincoln, home versus Northwestern, at Michigan State versus Wisconsin at home, which is a Jake Davis wig giveaway for students, just FYI. And then home versus Indiana, and then we go to the West Coast February 18th, where Brad kind of hinted that Kylan may return during that time. We play USC on February 18th and UCLA on February 21st before returning home for a game versus Michigan. So if you can win more than half of those without Kylan Boswell, I think that's good enough. So yeah, I think that's really where we have to go. And speaking of Purdue, they did lose to UCLA on the road, so we'll be facing another team coming off of a loss. But if you watch that game, Donovan Dent went off for 23 and 13. Tyler Bilodeau also went off for some pick and pop threes. So if Mihailo Petrovic can do what Donovan Dent did, I think Illinois might have a chance. So that's kind of my takes on it. Any other thoughts, Robbie?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of winnable games on the schedule. The seeding might take a hit a little bit. We're looking at a 3 seed right now. I was hoping we could maybe get up to a 2, and maybe that's not possible, but hopefully the committee will take into consideration that Kylan's been out, and if we can weather the storm and get a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament in the end, I think all things considered, that would be a good regular season. And just in terms of the away games, obviously the West Coast will be tough. USC, UCLA, I think if you could split those, that would be great. And if you could win one out of Nebraska, Michigan State, and Purdue, I think it's a short turnaround for Purdue, so I'm not too confident in Saturday. But if you could sneak one out against one of those teams, your resume is still really good. And again, you got the conference tournament with Kylan. Go ahead and win that again in Chicago, and who knows what'll happen.
Yeah, so Illinois will have to move on as much as it sucks. I'm still pretty bummed out about it, but Kylan Boswell fractured right shooting hand and should be out for at least a month. So we'll see what Illinois has to do in terms of staying afloat in the Big Ten race, but they got their work cut out for them. Robbie, thank you for your time. Are you doing anything pregame for the Maryland game tonight?
Nothing pregame tonight. I'll be going live on Spaces for the Champagne Room Saturday at 10 as usual. And I know I mentioned a little bit before, we got the Discord talking about hoops tonight and pretty much every day. So feel free to join that as well.
Awesome. And we will have some special guests coming up this week, both on the basketball side and on the football side. Those episodes are coming within the next couple days, so be on the lookout for that. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't to our YouTube channel. We just got over 600 subs, so really appreciate all you guys. We will talk to you guys soon, and be sure to check out armchairillini.com for the latest written work from myself and the rest of the team. ILL,